As far as the driving, you know where the kill switch is. A lot of people get hung up on that because it's older. Always make sure you use both starter buttons.
Yeah, why is that?
Because it puts more to the battery. If it was just one starter button, it can burn up. There's a wiring issue with it. So always use both starter buttons. Always turn both batteries on.
Did that.
Okay. One thing, you've got your brake and your retarder. Have you messed with the retarder?
I have. And is this like a compression brake kind of thing, or not quite?
What it is the RPMs need to be up around 2,000 RPMs on this thing. And when you're going down a hill, and it won't work right at first because the transmission has to be hot. When you're coming down a hill, if you hit that retarder at 2,000 RPMs, it puts back pressure on the transmission. And what that does is that'll slow the truck down. Compression brake works off the engine, off the valves. This works off the transmission. And so you push that, and what it does, you'll feel it. It'll definitely start to grab and it'll drain on. That way you're not utilizing your brakes. You're not heating the brakes.
Okay, so this is just a way of braking without using your brakes. When you said, though, it has to be up to 2,000 RPM, you mean you don't get any retarding if it's not at 2,000 RPM?
Exactly. So if you're just chugging down the hill, it's not gonna activate. It needs to get a certain amount of pressure and a certain amount of volume going through that tranny.
That makes sense, because Jay said it was a compression brake, but he said it's kind of wimpy and it doesn't make much noise. Now I know why. It's not supposed to.
It doesn't make any noise.
It says push, emergency air for releasing, what's that say? Max brakes? Push it, let's see what happens.
So it's your maxi. So what it's doing is you won't have any braking at all if you release that brake.
Okay, so this is like brake is stuck maybe?
Right, so what happens is when your air pressure goes down, you've got springs on your brakes. They're called maxis, and so when it goes down, it applies it. Your air pressure actually pushes the spring back to release them. Okay, so if you were to lose your air pressure, your maxis would come on and lock it up. Assuming this is what this is doing, is it's releasing those maxis.
Okay, so you could conceivably coast it or something if you
or tow it or whatever.
And while we're here, why don't you push that thing and see what happens? Okay. I didn't hear anything, but
I hear some here.
yeah.
So it might be where you physically pulled it.
Okay, I didn't want to push anything that I didn't know what it did. It might punch me out like a fighter or something.
Yeah. Compartments, I don't know that those work.
Okay.
The buzzer should work when you start it. It should have low air pressure. That should work, I would think.
Yeah, I can't remember. We'll see when it comes time to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your lights and stuff over here, you've got your master switch is basically, this is a master switch, but this is for your panel master switch. You flip that thing off and it will create this buzzer to go off.
Okay, and then when you flip that down, does that really take the power away from everything else on the panel?
Correct. So you don't really want to do that.
Okay.
Red beacon is
that
top.
Works, yeah.
Red lights is the back flashing lights.
That works, yeah.
Horn siren, you're probably only going to get the horn right now, because what that used to be is your siren is on the floor, but they had it to where if you flip this down, you're driving, you can hit this and your siren would go off.
Oh, one or the other.
One or the other.
Okay, yeah,
right.
I noticed it has to be up to horn or this doesn't work at all. And is this would be engine on or off, it doesn't matter, or would the engine be on?
Engine's on.
Okay.
On this. So, transmission engaged in neutral. And then you flip the switch, which is right there.
Did I just hear a little something when
You
flipped
probably did, and I'll show you where you can visually see that and mechanically override this.
Okay.
Once that is switched, put it in reverse, and then put it into 3/6, and then you lock it in. That's what this lock is.
What it does.
It's, okay.
Okay.
Okay, once that's in, then you go back to the back here. These two switches here. Open valves, you put water from the tank to your pump.
That means, oh, from the tank to the pump. Okay,
Right.
hold on here. So, from the tank.
What switches were those?
Those
These
two.
two
Okay.
here.
So this assumes I already have water in the tank.
Correct. You need to have water in the tank.
And there are two because there are two valves?
Correct.
And do they both have to be open?
It's better to have them both open.
Okay.
In case one sticks, or
Okay.
to supply the amount of water you need.
Okay.
This thing pumps about 1,200 gallons a minute. This thing,
Okay.
I mean, the only reason we retired this is because it was 40 years old.
Okay. So
So-
now I've got water moving from the tank to the pump.
Correct. You got
Okay.
water to the tank to the pump. So then you would come up here, and this is
Did
where
something happen on this light right now? That's a relief valve?
it's a
Oh,
relief valve closed.
Okay. Relief
That-
meaning like a drain valve or something else?
It's a pressure relief, so you don't
Okay.
spike your pump. That thing will come on though once you get water pressure. So
Is
when
that
you
a good thing?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, it means that it's. So then what you're going to do is you're going to come over here. You got water to your pump's working, everything else. One thing you're going to want to do is crack open your tank filler just while you're sitting here idling, because what that does is it lets the water circulate from your pump back into your tank.
Oh.
So you don't overheat.
Exactly.
Oh, so I'm moving water.
You got to be moving water.
Okay,
in
what's that called?
the tank filler?
Is it just one that has that, or is there 4 of those that have that? Is just one
Just
one?
one.
Okay.
Just one.
So open tank filler.
Mm-hmm. And then looking at your panel here, engine RPMs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you've got, these are your different ports.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
5, 6. Okay.
Now what you can do, this after you get some experience on this thing, then you can work with your relief valve.
Okay.
And what you can do is you can turn that up or you can turn it down, and what it'll do is it'll only let your pressure go up to 120
I
psi
see.
or 150 psi. That way, if you're running all these, you know, if an operator's up here, he's got different things going, you shut down number one, but you got 2 others, all of a sudden your pump wants to spike in pressure,
Uh-huh.
it won't allow it to go to a certain point.
I see.
Okay,
So this regulates the pump
maximum pressure.
pressure.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So you don't spike it,
Okay.
because it does happen if you know they shut one down and you brought.
Right.
Well, all of a sudden these guys are jumping up to 300 psi and they
Right.
can hold on to those
Okay.
anymore.
So let's say I'm running one. Let's say I've got 3 open,
Mhm.
and I've got it set RPM wise, I guess, set at 150. Then you're saying I close some, it's going to push the other ones up.
Correct.
But I can stabilize everything. How do I know? Okay, so if I have set RPMs, I can change that. Whatever the pressure goes to, it's going to stay there regardless of RPMs.
It
after
won't.
that.
It won't go
It's
past
a cap.
that.
Okay.
Exactly. Now, one thing you can do, and it takes a little bit of finessing. Say you want 150 psi to pump number 6 and number 1, and you want 100 psi to number 4. You can regulate that by the amount you pull it out.
Oh, a little bit. Okay.
Because what you're doing is you're just like closing a nozzle down a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll feather
Okay.
it up. So
Yeah.
you can do that.
Okay, so let's see, relief pressure valve. And are you saying that when I start messing with that, that thing is going to, if I'm bleeding off pressure, that's going to maybe change? When I start doing this, is it going
Yes.
to change these lights?
Yes, it increases or decreases it with this knob right here.
Okay.
And then your hose reel, the one in the back,
Yeah.
the very back, you just pull that. pull it,
Okay.
that opens
So that's
that
an
up.
easy one to run,
Yep.
right?
These 2 here are your cross lays, right and left line. So
Inch
you're-
and a half, okay, front and back, so that's here and here.
Yep.
Okay,
And that's these, same thing. Just open up.
okay. All right, so these are all the side discharge valves. These are
Correct.
the top and the reel on the back,
Correct.
okay? Water level, that's tank water level?
Correct.
Okay.
And that works when it's full.
Truck is in here or pump is engaged? How can you tell? So what he said is this slows down the transmission so that when you flip this, it's more tolerant of, you know, it's
Slows it down so you get
like
shifted.
clutching it a little bit.
Exactly.
So when do you push that? Before you engage the pump switch?
Either way, before you push it down or before you put it.